Hey everyone, my name's Gunther and welcome back to Cedarbrook Park Zoo. In today's episode, we build a new home for some feisty Tasmanian devils and try something new that honestly took entirely too long to figure out. Now we also continue with our goal of creating a modern style zoo with some new elements from the Oceanic Pack, and all together I feel we have a great little build to go through today. Now, in keeping with our theme in our last episode of showing almost the entire build, you are going to see some pretty interesting build techniques, more so because, of course, I make mistakes and everybody learns from their mistakes. And in our first mistake, I once again planned for something that was just not large enough. And you're going to see that our initial exhibit is a little too small. Now, the good news, though, is it was relatively easy to fix because really all it meant was I had to chop off half the exhibit and move it over. And I say that doesn't sound as easy as it was, but I promise you it wasn't so bad. So we definitely lucked out on this one. But you saw, as normal with my normal building technique, I always recommend you start off with a stencil and it gives you an idea of what to build. Now, I was really looking for something to break up all the walls. There was a lot of flat pieces here, and I thought about using these driftwood posts to add some additional depth to the overall build. And then I realized this is not very modern. It doesn't really work out, but I tried my best to keep with it. On top of that, I also love these tribal wood pieces. Being able to color them the way you want and then modifying them, you can kind of see I played around with the color. I actually don't even land on this color. I think I actually went back off camera and changed it again. I just wasn't overly happy. But for some reason, I'm on a green phase. I love green. It's not even my favorite color. But anyway, I was initially trying to build out some interesting pieces and things like that, and it didn't really work out the way I wanted. And you can kind of see here with how my build process normally works. I was grabbing some of the twilight pieces, and before I landed up on these conservation cladding beams. I actually love the conservation package for what it provides, a lot of backstage areas, stuff like that, and it definitely worked out. Now, we want to keep in mind that Tasmanians are nocturnal creatures, and I'm really focusing on creating this nocturnal exhibit. So the glass I'm using is one-way glass. There's a few reasons for this. One, we don't want our guests to necessarily be interacting with our Tasmanian devils as much as possible. We want to, emulate as close to as possible their normal habitat. And then number two is it'll help to keep that idea that it's always a nocturnal time for them, and this is more natural to their overall habitat. Now, I really wish we had like black lights, things like that. I find black lights would really help with the color perspective, allow us to kind of play around with it, but alas, we have to play with what we have. Now, I finally got rid of those driftwood beams, and you have to admit, they just really didn't fit with the entire theme of our zoo, and you're probably as happy as I am that we got rid of it. So we return to our tried and true plastic column. We've built these a few times actually, and it's easy to fall back on something that you love. And I do gotta say, I love these pillars, and I also love the idea that it was as easy as it was to create this sun cover. And it was surprisingly, everything worked out. The pieces were like the perfect size, they were perfect angle. Pretty happy with myself for what we managed to achieve. Now, of course, we did put these African sheets up. They don't fit quite as well as I would want with the overall build. Initially, I was thinking of maybe putting some thatch or something there, but I wanted something that would, again, harbor on that modern style look. So I kind of went with it. And you did notice I changed it to white. And the reason why I always land on white is because of all the other colors that are available. I'm pretty sure that you end up seeing the stencil from the actual piece pop through. Doesn't matter if they're the same color or anything like that. So we tie it up on white to hide it all, and end up changing the colors to black. It just fit with the entire theme. But that's why we went with a white initially. Now, with the majority of the exterior initially built for our habitat, it was really time for us to focus on the interior. And I wanted to do something unique. And part of this actually came from the inspiration for this build. And really what it was is I was just looking up some Tasmanian devil exhibits, trying to figure out what would be a good idea. And I stumbled across this one photo of this new exhibit, and it had a road on the inside. So it was obviously a fake road, but the idea behind it, and when you think of Tasmanian devils, you always think of Tasmanian devils near roads. And I don't know if that's maybe a symptom of the popular culture associated with Tasmanian devils. And when I say that, I mean like the Looney Tunes. Everybody thinks of Looney Tunes when they think of Tasmanian devils. So I went with this road. I actually pretty happy with what we've accomplished here. The idea behind it being we just wanted a little road. And there's something really cool. And if you noticed it in the flyby at the very beginning of the episode, there's a really cool Easter egg that we kind of worked into this. But I'm going to save it for the tour, so everybody will see it during the tour. I'm really happy with what we've achieved with this one. It took a lot. This is what took the majority of the time, was getting this entire thing to work together. And I'm really happy about it. Now, of course, this episode would not be complete without some educational facts about Tasmanian devils. And now that I think about that, I feel like we should have something like a Gunther's Education Corner or something like that. Just something really funny to pop up on the screen. But I digress. Of course, we always, and I encourage everybody else to do some research on their new animals that they're adding to their zoo. I think it's a really cool way of continuing your learning, make sure that you kind of know a little bit of history about your animals. And I want to share some really cool facts about the Tasmanian devil. Right off the bat, they're considered a marsupial carnivore, which there's not a lot. They're actually the largest living carnivorous, that's a word and a half, marsupial in the world, and they actually includes things like the quolls and the extinct Tasmanian tiger. Now, surprisingly, they're quite small. They only weigh 6 to 12 kilograms. So my dog is 12 kilograms, so it's kind of easy for me to understand how big this Tasmanian devil would normally be. Now, I've never actually had the pleasure of seeing them in person. My zoo does not have a Tasmanian devil exhibit. I'm really sad about that, but suffice to say, they're pretty cool. And they're relatively small in length as well. They really only reach 31 inches in length, and that's, of course, part of what makes them so iconic. They are, of course, as well, black. They're always black, and they have like a little white patch on their chest traditionally. So pretty unique animals in general. Now, of course, Tasmanians are known for their aggressive behaviors, and they're considered scavengers. They have powerful jaws and sharp teeth, and this actually allows them to crush the bones and consume entire carcasses, including hair and bones. So they are a very industrious little animal. Now, speaking of carcasses, they do have a varied diet, which typically includes dead animals, but they're also known to eat and hunt small mammals, birds, and even insects when necessary. Now, Tasmanian devils are also known for their loud and distinctive screeching and growling vocalizations. They're especially noticeable during feeding or when competing for food. And it's this particular vocalization that has led to the name Tasmanian devil. And just because it's a truly interesting noise. So if you haven't listened to it before, I encourage you, maybe put some headphones on, save the rest of your household the trouble, and listen to what a Tasmanian devil sounds like when they screech. Now, female Tasmanian devils have a unique reproductive system. They typically give birth to 20 to 30 tiny underdeveloped joeys that are about the size of a grain of rice, so pretty small. And then they actually make their way to the mother's pouch where they'll continue to develop. Now, sadly, Tasmanian devils are impacted by a pretty severe transmissible cancer, and they actually call it the devil facial tumor. And this disease has caused a significant decline in their overall population. Now, that being said, conservation efforts have been underway to save the species, including the establishment of disease-free populations. Essentially, what they're trying to do is they're trying to breed the disease out, and it does seem to be working. And of course, they're nocturnal. We talked about that a little bit earlier. They're primarily nocturnal, which means they're most active during the day, and they spend their daylight hours in dens. And you can see we built a little den for them hidden in the foliage around it, like this little mountain thing. Now, sadly, the Tasmanian devil is considered endangered, and this is really just due to the threat posed by devil facial tumor disease. Now, conservation efforts, as mentioned earlier, including captive breeding and the establishment of disease-free populations, has helped to protect and preserve the unique species. And they are truly a unique species. When you think of Tasmania, you think of Tasmanian devils. So I'm really happy to see that they are in CBZ, and we're here to, fictitiously help with our conservation efforts. Now, I did mention that I wanted to keep as much of the build in this speed build as possible. There's a few small things that I've left out, partly because during the tour, I really want to share what these really cool things will look like, and I don't want to spoil the fun. Now, that being said, I do want to focus a lot more on education. And one of the pieces of feedback I got in the last episode was really just more education. You're right, there wasn't a whole lot of education in the quokka exhibit, so we're changing it up for Tasmanians. And I wanted to add in something about Tasmanians in popular culture. So when you think of Tasmanian devils, you surely at some point will think of the Tasmanian devil from Looney Tunes. And I think Looney Tunes really propelled the Tasmanian devil to the height of its fame. And it's sad that they don't as far as I know, focus a lot on the conservation aspect of Tasmanian devils, considering they're such a, they're a creature that is considered endangered. So I would hope that there would be more focus on this. But I wanted to create this really cool education center, and really all it is just Tasmanians and popular culture. Now, I stumbled across this really cool technique when it comes to building signs, which is if you use the Australian sign, the editable sign, you can actually sink it in just enough that the letters will hang out on the very top. And I thought this was pretty cool in the sense that you could actually type in what you wanted to type in and have it carry through in the overall game. And this is what we've done. We've created this really cool way of typing out actual words. Now, of course, in order to make this work, because we don't have an infinite amount of space within the education boards, you do see a liberal use of the space bar to move the letters over, the words over to the left a little bit so that they can actually fit. And that's what we're seeing, what they eat, nocturnal creatures, things like that. Now, I tried to do this with the title, but honestly, I love the look of the life cycle title. So we inadvertently reused that font as well. Now we are getting near the end of the overall speed build. In fact, we have about 3 minutes left, and then we're going to get into the tour. But I want to kind of call out one thing. In our drive to create a realistic habitat, there is one aspect that we've misplaced, which is really just the rear back room facing portion of our habitat where our Tasmanian devils could retreat to. They would actually use this more for training, so zoo vets and keepers would work with our Tasmanian devils. This would allow them to create behaviors that would help with medical checks, things like that. We do not have this, and part of it came from poor planning on my part. I thought I had enough space to put it in, and I didn't. So feel free to let me know that we did not create as realistic as possible for this particular exhibit, and I freely admit that, but I am going to acknowledge it. That is a miss on my part. Of course, there is going to be a full tour, and I do want to share all of the blueprints that I utilized in this particular build. So you will see this in the link in the description with as many of the blueprints that I remember utilizing. If there's anything here that you saw that I built that you want to see as a blueprint, by all means, let me know, and I will gladly upload it for you. But it's entirely up to you guys. So let me know what you think of the overall build, and we'll chat soon during the live tour. And with our backstage area finally completed, I think it's time for us to do a full tour of all that we've accomplished together in this episode. So right off the bat, I definitely want to kind of check out our little education board that we have going on here. So kind of utilize what we've used in the past, and then just added some of these oceanic decorative pieces to add a little bit of extra flair. I love these boards. They are super versatile and they look amazing. So I'm pretty happy with what we've accomplished there. Of course, we have our Tasmanians in popular culture, which really is just the Tasmanian devil from Looney Tunes. There's nothing else in popular culture that speaks to Tasmanians, but I'm quite happy with what we have here. And then when we go into the exhibit, you're seeing this all new rear wall, and it looks like a starry night. And the idea behind it is really just wanted to create this nocturnal feeling for this overall exhibit. We went with those wood pieces on the back wall, and it was really just to hide all of the concrete, but I'm much happier with what we've accomplished with this. I think we've taken it to the next level. Now, I did adjust some of the foliage just really to hide the lines associated with the windows or the video screens restarting, but I'm pretty happy with what we've accomplished on this one. Now, the other thing, this is what I'm truly proud of finally accomplishing, which is building it so the road actually goes into the screen. And it took a long time to get to this point. And what I mean by that is there was a lot of readjustments, things like that, just to make this all work. Now you're going to notice that there's some like overlapping video screens, and part of the reason why is because I didn't want to have wood sticking out or concrete sticking out. I just felt that it would kind of break the immersion aspect of it. So I'd rather deal with those little lines than deal with some concrete kind of hanging around. And I told myself I was going to do this. I wasn't going to do screens. I think I've used it so many times, but I love the way it looks. And I think it works out really well. And of course, we have our two Tasmanian devils. We have Adina, and I'm definitely going to pronounce his name wrong, Ridgemoral, who have joined us. They are from the Frontier Zoo. So they are part of our breeding program. They were not, custom seizures or pets or anything like that. They are from another zoo, and that makes sense. We are our goal is to help with the endangered aspect of our Tasmanian devils. So we've welcomed two. This space is barely big enough to hold two. So any new Tasmanians that we do breed, we would share with additional zoos, things like that, in an effort to, continue the efforts to save them from extinction. Now, as we kind of continue down the rest of the exhibit, you're going to see two little foliage areas, really focused on oceanic plants and trees on this one. I felt that kind of fit with the theme. I love these little purple plants. The splash of color kind of just breaks it up a little bit, and I love the way it looks. And I incorporated more of our little beams, our little plastic beams that we've created. They're going to go everywhere. These beams are going to be in every aspect of this build by the end of this entire series. And here's another look of our exhibit. And I actually love the signs. I'm a huge fan of creating these signs. As mentioned, definitely shout out to Claby in the Discord, who kind of challenged me to do these inadvertently. I don't think he knew I was going to do this, but I definitely built something and I'm really happy with it. Built the 30 km/h and the Animal Crossing sign from scratch. So I'm very, very happy with what we've accomplished here. Of course, did add some additional changes to our road pathway, which is really just to match the overall video, and we'll go with that. Now we have our Learn More and Life Cycle section, where you can learn more about the Tasmanian devil, you can see more about their life cycle, and then of course we have some additional education centers focused really on, I want to say, biodiversity and land exploitation, I believe. We did add in some nets. I love these nets. They look amazing. So added in some nets to add some additional features to the wall. Now, as we make our way to the back rear section of our build, do want to acknowledge this big old empty space here. So the majority of our build has been focused on straight lines. We've built everything with the exception of this little corner right here as a straight line. And that gets pretty boring after a while. So I really want to focus on building something a little bit more unique. So I'm going to try to build something a little bit curved, roundish for this next area right here. That is our goal before we have to start wrapping around and working our way back, because this is going to be a fairly small build. So we do need to focus on that. Also want to call out, in the comments, somebody recommended that I adjust the colors of our boxes, and I did so. We kind of kept the colors going on there, but they do definitely look a lot better than just blue and white. So I'm very happy with that. Now, as we make our way to the back rear section of our exhibit, we're just going to climb this fence really quickly. I do want to have a call out. Just want to say, hey, if you're really liking this series, if you really like the episode, drop a like, leave me a comment, let me know what you thought of the build, and let me know how I can improve, because inadvertently, this was all done to help me be better at building Planet Zoo, and I love all the feedback I've gotten so far. So as we enter into the back, there is a reason why we have no rear access for the Tasmanian devils. So normally the intent was to build something right here, which would be where they would kind of come up, and there'd be like a little bit of an interior, like kennel style backstage area for them to come. And as mentioned in the actual speed build, this would be like how we would train and work with them and do all of their tests and stuff like that. But we didn't have any power, so I had to add in a power station, which took up the space I was going to use. And that's what I meant by I didn't plan for it. I planned for everything except for the power. So lesson learned, we do need to keep our eyes on our power consumption and our power area. Of course, we've reutilized a lot of our existing builds, stuff like that. So nothing too fancy here, but I just want to call it one thing. I'm really sad because now that you kind of just go in here and explore, I'm really sad that like these fridges, the sink, even the plug right here is not something that is available in the actual game for us to play around with. I would love just to put plugs everywhere. I think plugs are like an inherent nature. Even the glove dispenser would be absolutely amazing. Like the knives, the chalkboards. I would love to have more of these pieces in the actual game. And they obviously exist in the game because they built them here. So I'm kind of frustrated about that, but I get it. Weirdly enough, there should be a garbage can right there, and there isn't. It kind of bothers me. But that is our build. I just want to say welcome to our Tasmanian Devil build. Really happy with all that we've accomplished here. And I think this is as far as we can walk. We can't walk any further out. I don't know why, but we've accomplished quite a bit, and I'm really happy with everything. So of course, as mentioned, feel free to drop a like, leave a comment. If you want to subscribe, it definitely lets me know I'm doing a good job. If you don't want to, that's totally cool as well. No pressure whatsoever. And other than that, I just want to say thank you so much for watching this video, and ciao for now, everybody.